mine was about a pet. I was 4 years old when I got my first puppy, and love was like warm chocolate melting in my heart. I wanted to sleep with him in his special place in the backyard shed, but my parents wouldn't let me. Next morning, Dad said I could take my puppy with us to walk to the nearby store. But when I went into the shed to get him, the puppy wouldn't wake up. His small body was cold and stiff. I hollered to Dad, who came and in a quiet voice told me my dog was dead. Death became a real word in my vocabulary that day. Soon after this, hard times fell on the family. Our house was repossessed due to the Depression, and we moved back to the old home place to live with my paternal grandmother. She was a wonderful storyteller. Her favorite was the tragic story of Cynthia Ann Parker, a young girl kidnapped by the Comanche Indians. She remained with the Indians for 25 years, forgot her white ways, most of her language, and married a Comanche warrior and had 3 children. In 1860, the Texas Rangers rescued Cynthia Ann, but were unable to free her children. She was returned to her family, but could never reconcile to living in white society, and made attempt after attempt to escape back to her Indian family. Grandma said the lonely young mother went around weeping and pleading, "Me, Cynthia Ann Parker, me want to see my babies." When I got a small terrier puppy soon after this, I named her Cynthia Ann Parker because she had such a sad face. She didn't live very long. All my dogs had short lives. They were always getting killed, chasing cars on Buckner Boulevard. After school, Mother would meet me at the door with the news my dog was dead, and I planned another funeral out in the pasture. Excuse me, as we turn the page. It's sad. After I grew up and married, our children always had a dog. Few stand out in my memory. Missy was unique, a combination of German Shepherd and Dalmatian. Light tan with black spots. People had a tendency to stare at Missy and ask about her breeding. She was good-natured and looked at times as if she were actually laughing. Missy's most remarkable contribution to our family was the birth of 12 puppies, which she delivered effortlessly in the basement of our quarters on Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska. That night, we were having our youngest daughter's second-grade teacher, Miss Paul, over for dinner. All through the meal, we ran up and down the basement stairs to count and announce another arrival, until by the time our guests left, we had an assortment of puppies, some spotted, some solid white, and some tan. I never did get to discuss Miss Paul's exciting plans to have a seaplane fly her to an uninhabited island where she would spend the summer alone. For instance, we were able to find good homes for every one of those puppies. Now, the last dog we had and how we got her is a good story. One Sunday afternoon, we heard a commotion in the backyard, dogs barking wildly. We discovered our backyard full of red Irish setter puppies, tumbling around and exploring every corner of the fenced yard. On the other side of our redwood fence, barking and lunging and attempting to climb over, were 2 grown Irish setters, obviously the parents of the puppies down our yard. The puppies had been able to crawl underneath the redwood boards and get into our yard, while their parents were trapped on the other side and could only bark and growl and threaten their offspring. My 3 daughters and I each gathered up an armload of puppy and walked around to the front door of our new neighbor's house. Already our girls had decided we had to have a puppy, so we bought the only female. This was in 1981, the year Charles and Lady Diane married in Great Britain, and our beautiful setter puppy was so dignified and ladylike, we named her Lady Ann. She was part of our family for 15 years, grew old gracefully until the vet said it would be a kindness to put her to sleep. We talked it over for a few days and made an appointment to bring her to his office the next day. That morning we looked out and Lady Ann lay in the backyard, stretched out like a statue, serene and still, her nose resting comfortably on her crossed paws. Ever the thoughtful lady, she saved us the sorrow, the suffering, and the expense of putting our beloved pet to sleep. Our family has never owned another dog.
Wow. That was depressing!